with Corey with Tampa Bay, and this is the last team. All right, Corey, Tampa Bay Bucks.
With Tampa Bay, defending champs. Start with the coach. I love Bruce Arians. As a Colts fan, I wish that after the 2012 season we could have kept him. But can't fire the guy that just beat cancer. So Chuck Pagano stayed. He's a great offensive mind. I'm happy to see him get a ring. He's developed a number of great quarterbacks throughout his career, or helped develop. And, guys like Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck. I'm glad to see him finally getting the recognition that I think he's long deserved. Offensively, this unit is going to be absolutely loaded again. You've got all pros in Evans, Godwin, Brown, Gronk. Tyler Brate's made a Pro Bowl before. OJ Howard is back and is apparently looking pretty good in camp. I expect to see a jump out of Tyler Johnson in his second year. I think Gio Bernard could end up being a very underrated addition to the running back room. The running backs last year provided, good enough production, but I think Gio Bernard has a really good skill set to be very good out of the backfield for this team and could help make the offense even better than it was last year. Offensive line is obviously very good, one of top 5 in the NFL. If this team stays healthy, they should have one of the best offenses in the NFL again. Defensively, out of the same. They were able to run it back with a unit that was pretty dominant in their playoff run last year. Shaq Barrett has turned into a pretty dominant pass rusher. JPP has still been really good. Running back duo is great. Winfield had a great campaign as a rookie safety. Again, barring major injury, this unit should be able to carry the team. But the offense is loaded enough that they shouldn't need to. Overall, look, I don't think you can downplay how good the defense was in their playoff run last year, especially in the Super Bowl. I don't know if they can play at that dominant of a level for over an entire season. But this Tampa Bay team has one of the better rosters in all of football. Outside of a rash of injuries, I expect them to be right there at the very end of the season again this year. I think the only thing that could really slow down or stop this team is if Brady's play falls off a cliff. He wasn't great in their playoff run last year. But I think this roster on the whole, both offensively and defensively, has enough talent to offset any struggles that could possibly happen. They'll be there again. I think they'll be in the Final Four to defend their title. I've got them at 13-4.
All right. Tampa Bay coach Bruce Arians, great head coach, man. I mean, you're talking about coming from Temple to I think the Colts, in Pittsburgh, in Arizona. I mean, he's just a great. Temple, Pittsburgh, and Colts, and I think he's phenomenal, man. I'm glad he's getting his just due. He's a master motivator. He's going to tell you how it is. He has no cut cards, and that's what you kind of need in the NFL. But let's see how he can deal with going back-to-back Super Bowls. That's the key, because it's very difficult, and not only in sports, period, especially in NFL. All right, the quarterback, Tom Brady, he's on the list of he's on the go list. 10 Super Bowls, 7 champions. I mean, he's another year older, but I think that if he continues to play, he'll be okay. The running backs, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones. They added Giovanni Bernard. I think he was a great third down back. Offensive line, they're set again. They didn't lose anybody. Tristan Wirfs gets another year. It was phenomenal. I loved him coming out last year. One of the best tackles coming out the draft. Tight end position, Gronk's back, get a full year. We had one last year, but this time it's a full off season. So I think he'll be back to being Gronk. And then they have Cameron Brate and OJ Howard behind him. Receiver core, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin. Look for Antonio Brown this year to get more targets. I think him and Tom Brady have a good rapport. He might, I'm not going to say he's going to produce Pittsburgh numbers, but look at him to be a very good, compliment. Um, Defensive line, Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea. Sue actually has already been praised for his leadership on and off the field. And I mean, with that team, that matters. And defensive ends, Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaquille Barrett, who, I mean, they rush the passer. I mean, this defense is legit. It's a good defense. Linebacker core, Devin White, Lamonte David. Devin White is kind of that linebacker that can do everything, sideline to sideline, check tight ends, check receivers, play zone, understands his reads, plays to his instincts. Defensive backs, Carlton Davis, who fits the system. And the safeties, Jordan Whitehead and Antonio Winfield. They make plays in big moments and in big games. So they're only going to get better once again in the system. The overall prediction, I think the Bucks, the Bucks brought everybody back and then some after they won a Super Bowl, which is pretty rare, I think. I think that had a lot to do with not only Bruce Arians, but Tom Brady, Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul. I think that they had a lot to do with the leadership. So the question is, can Arian hold up egos, which I think he can. So the goal is, last year they were a wild card. Now it's home field advantage and back-to-back Super Bowls, which is a whole different beast itself. But I do have the Bucks going 13-4. All right, Craig.
All right. Bruce Arians, you gotta give him credit where credit is due. Obviously, he had a great team last year, led by Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. But Arians, he really did a great job coaching last year, and he's back again this year, and his team once again is stacked. I can't really say too much about Bruce Arians besides giving him praise because he deserves it. Tom Brady, obviously, I mean, don't need to really talk about him, except for the fact that he's a year older. So like y'all said, he struggled last year in the playoffs. So even with all these weapons and the offensive line and everything like that, like he still struggled. So if they can get I guess regular season Tom Brady back, then I think they'll be fine. It's just going to be if he starts to trail off a little bit or starts to have that performance like he did, starts to play like he did in the playoffs last year, then it's going to be a bit of a test for this team. But I think they can afford to lose a couple of games. But just getting those reps in. The backfield is probably like the most weakest point on this whole team. Even though they have some solid backs, Jones and Fournette are really a good combination. It's just that these guys really haven't really put up, for the most part. Like Fournette hasn't really been the guy or hasn't really done too much. They had a solid season last year together. I think Bernard comes in and he's a great pass catching running back. So maybe they can get him going and get him in third down situations. He can come in and be that third down back. Keyshawn Vaughn, I thought he was going to be have a bigger role than what he did before Fournette came in, and Fournette comes in and he kind of pushes him back, and now Bernard comes in, he pushes him back even further. So that's kind of unfortunate, but they still have a solid group of running backs. And that's saying something because I think they're the weakest point of the whole team, and they're still to me like a top 15 type of group. But I don't even really want to talk about their wide receivers. I mean, their receiving core in general. I mean, they have the best wide receiving core in the league. Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans. what more can you say about those guys? They even have, also Scotty Miller, who was one of the fastest receivers in the league. They can just burn people deep. So you don't want to sleep on him as well. If you start worrying about those big three, you still got Scotty Miller that can burn you deep, and you still have Gronk. You have OJ Howard. You have Cameron Brate. Brady once again, has brought this team back and has really good weapons. Offensive line looks really good as well. Still, Tristan Wirfs. Excuse me. Robert Hensley. They definitely still have a really good group. Ryan Jensen at center. So there's no drop off at all for this team. Obviously bringing back all the starters from last season on offense and defense, that helps. But this is definitely looks like another high-powered offense again coming into this coming season. The defense, once again, you bring everybody back. What more can you say? Shaquille Barrett, Ndamukong Suh, these are household names, and Vita Vea. It's just going to be tough trying to run the ball or not get sacked by these guys. Saw what they did last year in the playoffs. They basically carried this team to a Super Bowl championship victory. So I don't see why they would not do it again this year. And James mentioned how Ndamukong Suh would basically become like a good Samaritan back there, how he was in Detroit and the reputation that he had. And now he's just like a regular guy who's doing by the book stuff. So it's good to see him kind of turning that page and getting on the right track and being like a regular focal point of the defense and not being a distraction. The linebackers, what is going on here? Pierre Paul, Devin White, Levante David, Shaquille Barrett. I mentioned him earlier. This is ridiculous. The linebacker group, man, I don't even know what to say, man. It's going to be tough for anybody in the NFC South to even make some type of noise against this group. And if everybody can stay healthy, the sky's the limit. Once again, Super Bowl is definitely there for the taking again. And then the secondary, Sean Murphy Bunting, I think he had a pick in every game except for the Super Bowl last year, leading up to it. So Antonio Winfield, Carlton Davis, Jordan Whitehead, these, once again, another really good group of guys. So I really don't have any bad things to say about this team. They even have a good place kicker, Ryan Suckup. So they have no really strong weaknesses out there. So I'm looking at 14-3. Excuse me, 14-3 this year. Looking at the schedule, the first 8 games, I think all are winnable. I think the only tough game is at the Rams. And then after that, they kind of get some other playoff teams like Washington, I think can beat them. They played them tough last year and things like that. But overall, 14-3, another deep run for this team. So,
all right, Mo, last team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Bruce Arians, glad to see him get a ring. Well deserved. Tom Brady, enough said. We don't have to go into that. This running back core. Fournette, he gonna do what he do. Ronald Jones. And then what's interesting is, man, you see a dude like Bernard third. He was just a number one running back on the Bengals squad. So that's crazy. Wide receiver core, you got Mike Evans, Godwin, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller. That's dangerous. Tight ends, you got Gronk, number 1, but OJ Howard, who came out of Alabama, you know what you're going to get there. O-line is dangerous. Tristan Wirfs, who just came out of Iowa, if I'm not mistaken, he was in that top 100, wasn't he? He was in that first half of that top 100. So that's crazy right there. Defensively, Lord have mercy. Defensively, you got Sue, Vea, Paul, White, David, Shaq Barrett, So what I would compare them to, and I don't know if y'all would disagree, but I would compare them to Golden State because you got people they brought in. You got people they brought in, and you can kind of joke and be like, "Oh, they brought these people in. They did this, they did that," but they drafted well. So it's almost an equivalent of, okay, you can joke on us, but we brought in Steph Curry. We drafted Steph Curry. We drafted Draymond Green. We drafted Thompson. So they drafted well. You can't say they just went out there and just bought a whole team. They drafted well. They brought people in, and their draft picks have been dividends. Their draft picks ain't sitting there just doing whatever they're gonna do. So they got a squad. Because of the division, because of the turnover of the division, I can see them going 12 and I can see them going 12-5 at worst. I can see them going 13-4, 12-5 at worst.